This is a Wild Games Production podcast.
Roll them bones.
I know you came here to be what you want in the game of D&D. Assassin, halfling, human, or rogue. Just gotta pick up all those dice and let's roll. We're rolling now for real. We're rolling now for real.
Welcome to Save or Die Expert Edition, the first and original classic D&D podcast.
Good evening, folks, and welcome to episode 133 of Save or Die Expert Edition. Tonight, we begin a new segment. We're calling it Class Act, where we take a moment, we'll take an episode, and we talk about one of the specific BX classes. Now, there's only 7.
By the way, who are you?
Oh yeah. I am DM James, and with me is DM Glen.
Hi.
TM Eric is somewhere passed out on a bar room floor, and Vince is diligently but futilely trying to wake him up.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Yeah, Glen's back. Hi. Never mind. I'm not going to go into that.
How could anyone forget you, Glen?
Lord knows I try.
So tonight we're beginning a new segment called Class Act, where we're going to take an episode and focus on one of the BX classes, one of the core 7.
Cool.
We're going to open up with Thieves, which was the first class I ever played in a D&D game ever. So I got to... Yes?
Before we do this, what did you do in gaming this week? You publish anything, or you run anything, or anything like that?
I published today, as a matter of fact, or the day this is recorded, I published a card game, which is set in the White Star universe. It's completely independent of the mechanics of White Star, but like all the iconic sci-fi settings have their own in-setting gambling game. So I thought it would be cool to do that for White Star. I would tell you more, but then I'd probably have to kill you, or our producer would kill you.
Oh, yeah, I'd like to see that happen. Okay, I will just leave it at that then.
So tonight we're talking about the thief, and it's a thief, not a rogue. To me, it's always been a thief. And we're going to talk about basically, how to take the basic concept of the thief, what to do with it, how to kind of go beyond it, where thieves shine, both in and out of the dungeon, discuss some adventure ideas around thieves and how to, if you have a one-on-one session where somebody or a group of thieves adventures to build beyond you're all in the same guild ideas, thiefy magic items, and then we're going to highlight a particularly stealthy monster. I think, Glenn, this week we're going to talk about the Invisible Stalker, correct?
Yeah, but I can't see him.
Well, that's because he's right behind you. Oh God, Glenn.
Oh my God. My wallet got stolen again. Dang it.
So I think we'll jump right into it. And with our topic of the week, which is, as we said, thieves. So, Glenn, tell me about your experience playing thieves, if you even play them that often, and what you tend to do when you play them.
I've played the occasional thief, but like every other character or class or race I play, I always try and get the personality hook first, and then say, okay, he would be this.
And that personality is what makes them a thief, not they're a thief first.
Yeah. The last time I played a thief was in Crispy's. He was running Castle Amber.
Oh wow!
And I was playing a thief. I'm trying to remember his name, but it was basically Hunter S. Thompson as a thief.
So chaotic neutral or chaotic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Apt, very apt.
And he was, how little he lasted, he was pretty good. I think he got taken out by a doppelganger.
One of the great paradoxes I have found with the thief is often the guy who's on the front line when things hit the fan. Mm-hmm. Like, when a trap goes off or a monster ambushes the party, it's often the thief who either succeeded or failed at their ability to notice it. Right. And yet in BX, thieves are stuck with a D4 hit die. So it's like when things go south, the thief is often squished faster than the mage because they're right in the line of fire.
That's true. This is true.
Especially when you're low level and your percentages on succeeding at stuff are ungodly low, 10, 15, maybe if you're lucky, 20%, unless it's climb walls.
Most thieves, thief, burglar, the thief, yeah, whatever. I was going to say the thief, rogue, I call them burglars. It's kind of, you're supposed to be relying on your, like, quickness and dexterity and light-fingeredness and everything to keep your butt out of trouble. That's the thing.
But like at first level, even with a dex of like, let's say you have a dex of 18 by some miracle,
yeah,
you're that in BX that doesn't. It's not like later editions that generally in most systems doesn't improve your chance to use any of those abilities.
You can only use so much armor unless you got
leather.
Unless you got like bracers of defense or something.
Yep.
And
that's why the 10-foot pole was your friend.
Yes. It finds traps and I can smack people with it. And also, this thief, I don't think the thief's backstab had really come to fore yet in basic, although it was there.
It was so restrictive. Like I believe as it read back in the day was you had to successfully be hidden in shadows.
Yeah.
Which really you weren't usually very good at. You had a modicum chance of success, but not regularly successful until 5th or 6th level.
That's true.
So, I mean, and then once you got it off, you were exposed. So you better make it good. I was always pretty liberal with my backstab. I never got as liberal as the later editions where, if they can't perfectly defend, then you can backstab. No.
I remember the earlier days as a player, and this is 1E mostly, but I remember some basic too, where it's like, you're in a major battle with a big baddie, say an ogre or a troll or whatever, and it takes the thief half the battle just to maneuver to get that one shot in.
Now, I had a DM...
It was agonizing to watch as a player sometimes.
I had a DM who ran Thieves, and he would import stuff from the first edition Assassin. And what he did with Backstab was, it was potentially a kill shot. Basically, he gave monsters a save versus death with a bonus equal to their hit die.
Nice.
And I was like, and he said, and if they fail that, they take double damage. So that way the thief could feel like they're actually doing some stuff. But one of the strengths, I think, in the thief is, once you get to those mid to higher levels, you don't really need much of a weapon. You don't need a spell book. You don't even need a god. Yep. All of your skills are of your own talent. And that is when I think thieves really, really start to shine. And one of the things in BX that people forget, because at least I forget because I played a lot of later editions earlier on, is in BX, thieves are proficient in any weapon.
Right.
That means you can backstab somebody with a two-handed sword.
That would be interesting.
My brother is the one who got me in the game. We were talking about how would you backstab somebody with a large weapon like that, and he was like, "Well, you clobber him over the head, or you see it in the movies all the time. Somebody sneaks up behind a guy with a sword and doesn't stab him in the back. He puts it through his ribs."
That's right.
And I was like, "That's accurate."
On Thaco's Hammer, Corey's always joking about backstabbing a hill giant with a ballista.
Hey. If they can get away with it in a fan movie, why not? And that's one of those DM fiat rules, and I have to say I would as a DM I would probably allow it just for the comedy factor.
Well, yeah, that's part of the joy of being a DM. You can allow stuff like that and just really, enjoy it.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Now have you? Go ahead.
No, go ahead. What were you saying?
Have you ever had a group that was primarily or all thieves?
No, I have not.
I played in a Thieves Guild campaign a couple times. I've done a couple of those over the years. And they get weird because what happens is one person says, well, I'm the hide and shadows guy, and he's the pick locks guy. And they almost turn into this Mission Impossible team. And it gets really comedic really fast. That's funny. It's one of those classes that I feel you can have multiples in a group without.
You got the two guys broke into the place. You got the one guy with the crossbow on the roof. You got the
Yep. And it was a lot of fun because we were all. I think we had one guy who wasn't a thief, we were all the same class, but nobody felt like they were getting stepped on.
Well, that's good, because I've seen other one-class parties where it just does not work.
Oh yeah, I agree. I think it can work. The only one I've seen that really, really, really doesn't work is I've seen one class cleric parties,
Ooh.
and that fell apart quick.
Yeah.
But one class thief parties can work. I think I actually think they work the best because of that diversity.
Uh-huh.
I really enjoy thieves for they're to me the most self-reliant class, because you can even backstab with your bare hand if you have to.
Yeah.
And I've seen DMs who say, well, if you're proficient in any weapon, you can pick up anything and use it as a weapon, which I think is more apt for a thief than almost anybody else, because, thieves are creatures of opportunity. So why wouldn't they be able to pick up a bottle or a rock and use it with as much skill as a normal weapon?
Now, nowadays, with the retro clones, I think the best thing that could have happened to basic was Labyrinth Lord, even if you don't use Labyrinth Lord, because you got Advanced Edition Companion, which translates the 1E stuff into basic. So you have a better backstab. You have an assassin.
Mm-hmm. You have. Now, one thing that always weirded me out, I mean, this is a bit of a digression, but the assassin is a subclass of thief in most editions, or in Labyrinth Lord, it's its own class, is assassins get no thief abilities till 3rd level.
Isn't that weird?
So, to me, it's like, what do I do? Just hang out in the back and hope my poison doesn't spill?
Well, that's like the basic, the clerics don't have any spells at 1st level type thing.
Yeah, every DM I ever played under, let the cleric get one spell at 1st level, just so he wasn't sitting there going, I got a stick and a shield.
Yeah, so, well, you're a fighting priest.
Yeah.
Go fight.
But I've played under DMs who make you play your cleric with no spell. For some reason, you have to prove your faith, and I was like, okay, that's a fair argument.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, cleric is a class discussion for another episode. So, but I apologize, folks. Glenn and I will probably digress quite a bit without Vince and Eric to beat us about.
Anybody who's listened to any of my shows knows this happens with me.
This is true. This is true.
It's an occupational hazard.
So, what? Now in BX, it's assumed all thieves are humans. Mm-hmm. I have seen people play halflings in BX with a particularly thiefy bent. Mm-hmm. Particularly given they have a 5 in 6 chance of hiding and being silent in the wilderness, and it goes down to I think a 2 in 6 in wilderness and urban environments, which is still pretty good.
Because halflings usually come off more as like mini fighters.
It's weird because I came to BX before I played BX. I played 2nd Ed. They always read to me with the fighterish thing and the wilderness thing. They always read to me like rangers.
Really?
It was just a weird thing that went over my brain. But
over here in Menser, let's see. Pull out my rule cyclopedia here to balance out all the BX talk. Let's see. Halflings. Character classes. Here we go.
It should say halflings are the best race in all of D&D.
Well, son of a gun. There it is. No.
See, told you.
I don't know about that. There's always gnomes.
No, there aren't always gnomes.
See, that's one thing you have in common with Mike.
What, my hatred of gnomes?
Yes.
Well, Mike's a smart guy.
Yes. In that, not in everything.
No, that's true. He is anti-single save, which is one of our major disagreements.
I can go with 5 saves. I can go with single saves. It doesn't matter.
A single save is what is up.
Oh, well, that old swords and wizardry thing. Another retro clone I don't have time to play. Special experienced woodland. Yeah, they got a lot of woodland abilities in here.
They got the woodland ability. They got the bonus with ranged weapons.
Yeah.
But again, we're digressing into other classes.
Well, that's okay, but because as far as I'm concerned, you go back to once again Tolkien. Hobbit is a burglar.
But what's funny? If you go back and you read The Hobbit, Bilbo, I think, only successfully picks one pocket in the entire book, and he never picks a lock. He never finds a trap. He never backstabs anybody.
And
he's called a burglar or a thief, and he doesn't even successfully pick the troll's pocket. He goes to pick the pocket, and the purse is cursed and screams when he grabs it.
Yeah.
Bilbo, and this is something people forget that thieves are good at, but technically any class can be good at. Bilbo is good at talking his way out of a situation. He talks his way out of the trolls with Gandalf's help. He talks his way out of the thing with the dragon.
Yeah, because everybody thinks that kind of thing is for like bards,
No, it doesn't have to be.
Yeah, but yeah, you're right. They're very good at that.
So now, people, Dungeons and Dragons and BX, naturally you think dungeons are where thieves are going to shine, and to an extent they seem necessary, but I have often found that groups are the quickest to go into a dungeon without a thief.
Right.
And I think that is because if it's locked, we'll break it.
Mm-hmm.
And if it's trapped, there's the cleric spell, Find Traps.
Although most of my groups, they always seem to go in without a cleric.
Really? Oh my God. My groups are terrified of going with a cleric.
I don't mind going in without a cleric. I just like corner the market in the village of healing potions.
Well, see, that my games tend to be pretty low magic, so that you don't have many people selling healing potions.
And
so
hopefully there isn't anything we have to turn in there.
Oh, well, that's good. Oh, you guys aren't bringing in the cleric. Let me change half these monsters to undead. Oh, they're undead goblins. Oh, man. Also, one thing people forget about undead, most undead are completely silent.
That's true.
That's something you got to remember. And thieves can detect noise.
Yes, they can.
Which I had a house rule. Whenever you were a thief with detect noise, I used that as a role automatically to avoid being surprised.
Yeah.
Because you have those sharp senses. And when I run thieves, if you were to say to me, I look in the door frame along the grout for a trap, I would give it to them automatically because they're a thief and they were very specifically stating where they were looking.
Good.
Because it sucks to be like, oh, make a roll, oh, you failed, you stay.
When I was back in the day when I was playing AD&D or D&D or whatever, they'd always do the trap thing, and it's like, okay, you disarm the trap, or you pick the lock, but it was these days when I play with somebody, it's always the thief goes up, okay, I disarm the trap, and he'd roll it, and the guy look at the DM, look at him, it looks disarmed.
Yeah, it looks disarmed.
You will never tell them whether it is or not.
You are 100% sure that it is no traps here.
There are no traps, yes. And then want to catch it, like every third or fourth time, want to catch him.
Oh, yep. And then the last thief I played, I love playing thieves. I played a thief who was the consummate professional. He joined the party. He got a cut of the treasure. He said, I am a professional. I do not fight. That is why you hire swordsmen. I am not a swordsman. And when combat started, he pulled out his cloak of elven kind. He moved to the back of the party and he hid.
Yep.
And he was very, very good at his job. And the party did not like him because one particular instance we have, and this is hilarious, the party got ambushed by a bunch of hellhounds, and our two fighters in the front were dropped in the first round.
Wow.
It was like TPK was imminent. So the DM looked at me and said, what are you doing? At this point, I got my hands on a ring of invisibility. Oh, boy. So I said, all right, I put on my ring of invisibility, and I moved to the back of the party. And they're like, what? You jerk. And I'm like, uh-huh. So the next round comes. Our third fighter drops. We've only got a party of 7 people. So I'm at the back of the party by the door we just came through. Comes up to my action. What do you do? I stepped through the doorway, I closed the door, and I began hammering pythons into the door frame.
Yeah.
And they're like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm making sure I live. Yeah. And that character ended up being the only party member to survive. Not that encounter, but my DM ran Castle Ravenloft, I6. Ooh. And we were in the crypt at the bottom with all the wights beating the snot out of us. And the party did not know that I had pilfered a ring with one wish.
Wow.
And I put it on and I said, I wish to be home and free of the curse. And I disappeared. And what nobody knew was they kept sending the thief up to open chests and check for traps and examine treasure. And I was skimming 10% off the top the whole campaign.
Wow.
So I retired at 7th level with 50,000 gold to my name. And they were like, you're a jerk. And I was like, I never sold you out. I never lied to you. I never betrayed the party. They were like, you're still a jerk. And I'm like, yes, I am, because I'm a thief. And the fun thing about thieves, the point I'm trying to get at, my long meandering ways,
that's okay.
Thieves are not necessarily good guys, But just because you're not a good guy doesn't give you free license to betray the party. And I've seen so many thieves do that, who put like, oh, I want to steal his stuff. Why? Because I'm a thief. Well, that's stupid. If you steal the fighter's gold when he wakes up in the morning, he's going to bash you in the face with a broadsword.
Yeah.
Or the wizard's going to cast sleep on you and cut your throat.
And it's the old, like, if you're an evil character, when the chips are down and you guys are stuck somewhere, are you going to be evil then and steal stuff?
Mm-hmm.
No, you need these guys to survive. You need these guys so you can survive.
Evil people can be evil, but be pragmatic about it first.
Right. That's what they call lawful evil.
I think even chaotic evil. Okay, I need these guys to live so I don't die is beyond alignment to me.
True.
Chaotic evil does mean horrible and violent and terrible, but it certainly doesn't mean stupid.
There's a lot of characters that are considered thieves as a class, but aren't really.
Oh, absolutely. Like Bilbo. I don't think he was a thief.
People who are like, say, jugglers and things, entertainers, they could be considered thieves.
I noticed a lot in a lot of editions, if they're, the arbitrary NPC who's important gets statted as a fighter, and I often think it's better to stat them as a thief, because fighters have an extraordinary amount of hit points and thieves do not, which is more indicative of somebody who is, to me, a noble who's had a lot of training.
Right.
Yeah, maybe you can ignore the pick locks and find and remove traps, but what's to stop you from replacing that with something that mimics charm person, or granting a leadership bonus and giving them almost a bardish quality?
Yeah.
I think that's a very cool way to take the thief in a different direction and make it more broadly applicable. I'm all about tweaking classes as long as it doesn't ruin your game to suit the style of character people are playing, and BX with its loose rule system certainly allows for that.
Okay, how about this? What is the stuff that thieves usually go for as far as like equipment goes? I mean, there's obviously lockpicks and ropes and things like that. Is there anything in particular your characters wanted off the top just because it's their profession, it comes in handy?
This is going to sound a 10-foot pole, obviously.
Obviously, yeah.
And I always would I say to the DM, can I pay double price so I can put a hinge in the middle?
Oh, very nice.
So I can just fold it down and carry it like a staff. Because 10-foot poles are awkward. You ever moved a ladder? That's like moving two 10-foot poles.
Yeah, I'd ask him to make it telescoping.
See, and I never went that far. But then again, that could be a gnomish invention.
Yes, it could.
I, believe it or not, was always big on buying a large bag of marbles.
That is not a crazy thing.
Because you can throw them down a hall. You can drop them behind you when you're running away. They're cheap versions of caltrops. Marbles were good. I would often buy a bag of, or I wouldn't even buy, a bag of fireplace ash.
Fireplace ash?
Smack somebody in the face with that.
Good idea.
If let's say you're in a backstab position, and we were just discussing how thieves don't do damage properly with backstab. You backstab somebody with a bag of fire ash, they're probably going to be blinded. Congratulations, you just cast the equivalent of a second level spell.
I like when you take tools that aren't meant to be something, but you make them something.
Mm-hmm.
Like weapon, they're not exactly weapons, but you can use them as them.
Oh yeah.
In a pinch, like say a hatchet.
Yes.
Or
yes.
something like that. I used to play, when I played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, I had a dwarf who was a dwarven engineer. And I picked that dwarf specifically to be an engineer because he part of it, they give you stuff right off the top. You have your equipment. And he came with like a bag of like chisels, hammers, measuring equipment, things, all this stuff that an engineer would use. And it's like, oh, is he going to be an engineer? Yeah, but if he's, fighting a bunch of orcs in a room and his weapons break, he's going to start throwing chisels at them and hitting them with hammers and,
Yeah.
There's more weapons. It's more weapons.
I'm big on iron spikes, because you can shim doors with them. They can serve as an emergency dagger. They're cold iron. They are unwrought iron, which means they can affect Fae.
Yes. I have a monk in one of my 5th edition games that has a bow staff. One end is silver, one end is iron.
Ooh.
So he gets it either way.
That's nasty. But yeah, the big thing with a thief is to me, as far as equipment and ability, think sideways.
Yeah.
I would often buy multiple outfits, not necessarily expensive ones, but this is the kind of an outfit a farmer would wear.
The disguise thing.
Yeah, well, and because they didn't do disguise in BX, I would just buy different outfits and say, hey, I'm dressing up like this.
Today,
I put some chalk dust in my hair, and from a distance, I look like a bent old man.
Right.
And the DM would be like, okay, or no, not really. They would notice that. And okay, sure. But, thieves are thieves because they rely on being clever. So as a player, you should try to be clever, and as a DM, you should give your players opportunities
They
to be
live
clever.
by their wits.
Yep.
And
Yep.
there's one item I always, thief or not, there's one item I always, they say, well, what do you want? When, like as far as mundane stuff goes. Usually I play with people who says, okay, first level, everybody gets what they want, and then whatever money you roll, that's what's left over, and then you have to buy it from then on. And I would always ask for a jar of bear grease.
Grease?
Bear grease.
Why? Because it's flammable.
Well, for one, and it's like, what's bear grease? I said, well, it's whatever you want. I mean, it's probably a jar of grease from a bear, but it's flammable. It's real slippery, and I can think of a lot of uses I could do that. If I see monsters coming and I spread that all over the ground and I'm going to leave, it's like the bag of marbles.
Yep.
It's the same thing, or caltrops or whatever.
One of the other things you can do is what I've always allowed thieves to do. You have find and remove traps. What's to say you can't use that to set traps?
That's right.
You get ambushed by monsters. Why not ambush the monsters? If you're a thief, scout ahead. Okay, they're up there, guys. There's 2 of them over here. There's 3 of them over here. They've got this, and this. Thieves, by nature of being a thief, that means you go out and get. So as a thief, try to be proactive.
And
what's the next score?
There's really nothing to say that the thieves can't use ranged weapons.
No, they can use any weapon.
Mini crossbows as holdout weapons.
Or I knew a guy who played a thief who carried around a heavy crossbow.
Wow.
And exactly. Well, why? Well, I fire it once and then I drop it because I'm not going to spend 2 rounds reloading it.
Right.
And his idea was that first shot's usually a backstab, and then he would poison the weapon. So he's opening up with this high damage weapon that's got a long range. It's poisoned, and if they're not noticing him, he gets backstabbed. So he could, in theory, open up and do, potentially like 20 points of damage right off the bat.
Yeah, and that first shot is always kind of special, whether it's backstab or not, because that's the one where they go, whoa. It's like shock. It's like shock and awe. Because remember we were talking about before the show about black powder versus other stuff.
Yes.
Because like they said, early black powder weapons, there were more noise and flash than anything else, but it would scare the hell out of people.
Yes, it would.
So if you got a big old weapon that does that once, and everybody's, they're getting ready to load their pants. That's a good thing.
But you have time to reload the crossbow.
Then you wait. You have the rest of them wait in.
I just thought of something. The heavy crossbow idea. Yeah. What if everyone carried a heavy crossbow and the thief just said, "All right, hand me the next one." There's fun stuff like that you can do. My big thing with the thief is, unless I'm backstabbing, I try to stay out of melee because D4 hit die is rough.
Yeah, I'm back here with the mage. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back here with the mage. Or if you want to guarantee that hide in shadows, look at the mage and be like, "Hey, buddy, hit me up with an invisibility."
Yeah.
Or
we had backstab a lot easier.
Or can you cast silence 15 feet? No, don't cast it on me. Cast it on this rock that I'm carrying.
Yeah.
So then you can, if you know there's an enemy spellcaster up ahead, have the thief carry that rock right up to the enemy because the thief's going to be silent because the rock's quiet, and then he just sets it down and then goes back, and then he gets his crossbow. But yeah, thieves are about being clever.
Yeah. And they could use scrolls.
Yes, I think it's at 9th or 8th level. Yeah, they can start using scrolls.
I think this was 2E, but I'm not sure if it was basic. But I know
in Labyrinth World they can use scrolls.
I had a thief who could use spell. There's some systems like they can start using like lower level spells at certain levels. I had one who had the command spell. One word
Mhm.
command. And I saw this I think it was a gnome getting ready to do something, and I had my cohorts on either side of the hall. Hide yourself, just out of. And the thief, the other guy saw me and put up a wall of fog. And it's okay because I took time to remember where he was. And fortunately, I rolled initiative good enough where I went like pretty near the front.
Mm-hmm.
So I ran up to him, and these are all people with ranged weapons. I ran up to him. I put my finger in front of him, pointed my finger towards the hall, and said, "Leave." And he had to do it, and he's like he ran the gauntlet.
My wife used to play a thief, and she asked the GM if she could trade out, and instead of, I forget what she gave up for it. I can't believe it was climb walls. She said, instead of climb walls at like 80% at first level, can I trade that out and not be able to climb walls and have that for use scrolls?
Wow.
And the DM amazingly approved it.
Wow.
She ran around pretending to be a wizard. And it was glorious. And the DM said, well, all right, you can also use wizard magic items at 1/2 your base percentage. So she'd whip out wands, and she'd whip out scrolls, and she dressed in the big pointy hat and the robes.
Wow.
And then people got really freaked out when she pulled out a sword, which was awesome. But it was one of the best thieves I've ever seen played.
Wow.
And she even called herself Roella the Great, and just did all kinds of crazy mess. Which, thieves and magic items, there's your bread and butter.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, I want boots of Elvenkind. I don't want boots of Elvenkind. You know what I want? Boots of speed.
Yes.
Double my movement, double my attacks.
Gauntlets of dexterity.
Gauntlets of dexterity. Gauntlets of missile snaring.
Yes. Oh gosh.
Those are one of my favorites. Or what are they? The gauntlets of concealment, where you can make a weapon disappear into it.
Wow.
There's all kinds of fun items you can think of for a thief that aren't normally thought of.
Right.
Of course, your classic bag of holding. What's a bag of holding? Hold like a 5x5 room worth of stuff, something
Pretty
ridiculous.
Much. Yeah.
Okay, fill that up with marbles or ash or grease and just start dumping it out.
Mm-hmm.
Or something that's highly, the grease, it's highly flammable.
And it's like a fraction of the weight.
Mm-hmm. It like never changes. Like always, like 5 or 10 pounds. The weight never changes.
I had a character with a hat of holding, and it was on a trigger word, and some stupid brute tried to take his hat and look in it, and he did the trigger word, and he got an anchor in his face.
Oh, nice. One of the more clever uses, I saw this wasn't even a magic item. We were all level enough to where the wizard could cast continual light.
Ooh.
So they took like a week, and the wizard cast continual light like 7 times on these like little copper coins.
Yeah, very good.
The thief then had them cast in ceramics because we were going into a dungeon where monsters were affected by sunlight. And the thief would throw them down and basically made flash grenades.
Aha.
I was like, wow, that's clever.
That is clever.
And that's a homemade magic item.
That is a homemade. Yeah, it is.
And it cost them nothing because the wizard just had to take a week and cast these spells, and it's done. And they were going off to face off against drow, and they mopped the floor with those drow, and then they took the drow's poison, and the thief had drow poison.
There you go. There you go. Okay, what else can we lie about? We did the magic items. We did the theory discussion, all that. What about monsters who have thiefly abilities?
Well, drow.
Drow.
They are naturally stealthy. We talked about the invisible stalker, which to me is your classic.
Yeah. Shadow elves.
Shadow elves. Yeah, I don't know a whole lot about them. I know they're all shadowy and elfy.
Uh-huh.
I've never actually read the Gaz on shadow elves. I'm a bad person. Halflings obviously have a natural thief element.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if it's in BX, but the Creeper was always one of my favorites.
Creeper?
Yeah, it was like this little like hooded, long-nosed monster that had like high stealth abilities and was very strange. I think it was a late 2E monster. Let me grab one of my many BX games around here and see what else we have that's thiefy. There's a couple of monsters that like you wouldn't think of as being stealthy that are stealthy. Like I think Death Knights can cast darkness.
That's weird.
I mean, so think about that. And if undead are perfectly silent, imagine a Death Knight you don't see coming.
And stuff like Ettercaps and other Fae.
Ettercaps scare the pants off me because I do not like spiders like at all. Like I scream like a 2-year-old little girl and run away.
Yeah.
So Ettercaps.
Well, Ettercaps are more like evil brownies.
No, Ettercaps are like the really tall things with like the spidery heads.
Well, not according to the creature catalog here.
Okay, maybe I'm thinking of the 2E version.
Probably, but it's like Ettercaps are like the flip side of brownies.
Okay, I always thought those were red caps.
I could have. You're probably right. They are red caps. I just don't have my glasses on.
Also, there are monsters
yes, they are red caps. You're right.
Okay, there are monsters that lend themselves to being thieves very easily. In my mind, shout out to Liz, is the kobold. The kobolds are they're quiet.
Definitely.
They fight dirty.
Mm-hmm.
They're master trap makers.
They're small, hard to see.
Mm-hmm. And they use again. They think sideways. My favorite thing is to do a kobold dungeon where the roof stops at 4 feet.
Ooh.
Or the traps never go off at something that will affect anything under 3 feet or under 3 feet tall. So like a gout of fire shoots out 5 feet over, so the kobolds never affected.
Yeah.
Things like that. Basically, the neat thing about a thief is almost any monster can be a thief. You just have to say, well, they're stealthy.
Yeah.
And then you can pick and choose and apply the thief abilities to them. Thief, yes, they're thieves, damn it, but anybody can learn to be clever and learn to be stealthy. I've seen giants who are thieves. They're hiding shadows themselves isn't that good, but when they backstab with a boulder, it hurts.
Ouch.
A stone giant standing against a mountainside.
And
He's gray like stone. You're not going to see him. He whips that boulder at you.
That's right. And you also have the avians variations, all kinds of birds who like to steal stuff, and I believe harpies have a thief streak in them.
I think they do. Lizard men come to mind because the whole hiding in the murky waters kind of thing.
Exactly.
There's nothing wrong with adding a little thiefy element to almost any class. Another one people forget about.
What's that?
Bugbears can move silently. They got those big padded like bear-like feet.
You're right. They got bugbears and occasionally gnolls.
Yes, occasionally. Gnolls are usually a little savage, but they're almost a more assassin bent.
Here's one. A giant magpie.
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
Yeah, I just looked through Creature Catalog. I just saw magpie, normal and giant. All of a sudden some bird's taking a ring away from you. Flying away with it.
A giant bird. What if the magpie is trained? That'd be a great tool for a thieves guild.
Yeah, Thieves Guild. Or any kind of like, say, a wizard's familiar. They're always training them to do stuff like that.
Yep. Very, very true.
Yeah. And Nagpas. They're mostly magic, but, they can do that too. But yeah, there's tons of creatures in, the monsters that you can just go to town on the thiefly aspect.
Yeah, just think what's clever and stealthy and how do I apply it to this monster?
Yeah.
And when a monster says average intelligence, that's average human intelligence. And the average human learns to survive, learns to be clever.
It does.
There is nothing wrong with surrendering and then stabbing your opponent in the back.
That's right. That is absolutely right.
I'm a big believer in that.
Even vampires can be doing this.
Oh, especially vampires. Could you imagine a vampire
go in as mist, take what he wants, and go out as mist?
Well, here's a question. Here's a question for you. Vampire drains 2 levels on a bite?
Something like that.
If you're a vampire thief, do you get backstabbed for 4 levels?
Wow.
Think about that. That's a terrifying concept. I just went from 5th level to 1st level because thief.
I never use regular vampires in my game.
I usually don't do the level draining thing.
Well, ever since I found the Creature Catalog and Nosferatu vampires.
Oh, I have to look at those.
They do not drain levels. They drain blood. You will lose hit points. I mean, major hit points with those guys. They're a lot deadlier than a regular vampire, as far as I'm concerned.
Really? I have to look
Yeah.
at those because I haven't looked through my catalog in forever.
Yeah. Oh, please do. And use the later edition.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. I mean,
I like the cover for the early one better, but the later edition has better info in it.
and it's also alphabetical, which makes,
Well, yes, there's that.
Yeah, they did that Osric of all things. They broke it down by species. But then they put an A to Z index in the front, so that's okay.
Okay, well there's some point of reference, so that's cool.
Yeah.
Another thing you can do as far as stealthy monsters, you mentioned earlier, wizards familiars. What do wizards usually have familiars? Cats, rats, bats,
ravens.
Those are
the occasional monkey, which usually fits pirates. But they're known for that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And you talk about wizards being able to cast spells. A first level wizard finds a scroll with a find familiar spell on it. What's to stop them?
Yeah. And aren't there wizards with invisible stalkers, servants?
I think it's a higher level spell, like a 5th level spell, but I think you can summon an invisible stalker.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's thieves plus magic equals heap nasty quick.
Yeah. It's boundless what you could do with the thiefly skills.
Yes, and they should be treated that way. I've seen many DMs who are like, well, hide and shadows can only be used for this. Move something can only be used for this, and I find that to be. I understand the GM's trepidation and not wanting players to run ramshot, but literally that's all the thief has is those abilities, and at low levels they're not very skilled at them. So give them a chance.
No,
to do
you're right.
Awesome.
You're right. Absolutely. Man, I'm out of thiefly. I'm out of my thiefly abilities right now. I can't steal anything out of books.
I think we've stolen about them all.
Yeah. Well, we screw the other guy and pass the savings along to you folks. So
we do, but we take our cut off the top first.
That's always just like an agent.
Gotta pay those guild dues.
Yeah, and that's another class, agent. They steal 10% off the top.
That's the other thing. You can use Thieves Guild to drive entire campaigns.
Yes. Oh, I've seen.
I can't believe we didn't even touch on guilds. Oh my god!
Well,
here we go.
We've done it before. I mean, I've done it. I've been in games like that. I know at least one big quest that was started because one of the thief in our party showed up in a town we didn't know he was persona non grata.
Mm-hmm.
And the head of the Thieves Guild kidnapped him and us and brought him to him. He says, "Okay, you will do this thing. And if you do it successfully, I'll probably let you come back into town."
Yeah, or a thief comes into a new town, steals something from somebody. The person doesn't notice, but maybe another thief in the room does. Let's say you have a pickpocket skill.
Ooh.
I would argue that another thief who has a pickpocket skill might be able to use that same percentage to notice you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
So then he reports you to the guild. The guild comes knocking and goes, "Hey, we want our cut. And oh, by the way, you need to join the guild or you're going to have problems," and then your stuff is sanctioned.
Right.
And while that's giving the players a bit of a stick, it's also creating a bunch of plot hooks. The guild doesn't always have to be that harsh about it.
No.
But I mean, they are the fantasy equivalent of the mafia.
Yeah. Well, that's
they are organized crime.
The Cosa Nostra or the whatever you want, the triads.
The triads, the Yakuza, the Cosa Nostra.
Yakuza,
whatever, Yep, whatever you want to call it. I mean, that's basically what they are. They are organized crime.
Yeah.
So if you're a very skilled thief and you come into their town, they're going to want you to work for them. As a matter of fact, they're probably going to make you work for them, and you might not like it.
Yeah. There's and they have their, they all have their specialities. I mean, there's the Beggars Guild and, that kind of thing too.
Well, and then you can get into the politics of different guilds. What if two different guilds are warring for the same crime elements?
That's true.
I played in a game once where we had a super high level thief, and everyone in the group had actually founded a town, and it was open that you had to pay dues to everyone who lived in the town had to pay dues to the Thieves Guild.
Wow.
Or otherwise, the Thieves Guild would come rob you. However, if anyone ever robbed you and it wasn't a Thief Guild member, well, they robbed you. It clearly wasn't a Thief Guild member because everyone's paying their dues. The entire Thieves Guild would go kick the snot out of them.
Oh, wow.
So the town literally had a guild on the payroll. And I think that's genius.
Yes, it is.
You know, so I mean, you can do so much stuff with Thieves Guild, and Thieves Guild don't just have to recruit thieves. You know, wizards have all kinds of useful stealthy abilities. Hired goons, those are called fighters, and there's all kinds of gods to.
They're called
you know,
mercenaries.
Exactly. You know, and you have clerics, which you know have gods of stealth and chaos and money and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, what's not make sure you have the blessings of those gods before you go off on a big job. You're going to want that.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, you can use the Thieves Guild to drive an entire campaign, an entire group of party members who don't want to be your traditional save the world heroes and want the opportunity to be bastards.
Right.
You know. So, and that's not the way I tend to play, but there's nothing wrong with that. Go nuts.
Oh, yeah.
You know. So, now I think we might. We anything else left?
That's about it.
All right. I think we've. There's nothing left in the money pouch there.
No, we got it all stolen by them damn invisible stalkers.
The gnomes.
Oh, then I'll leave my gnomes alone. Well, yeah, they're thieves.
Oh,
So,
they're your gnomes.
yeah, they're thieves. So yeah, I hire them. Yeah. I get a cut. Hey.
I think that will bring this episode of Save or Die Expert Edition to a close,
Yay.
folks.
Do we have any email or anything we want to shout out? Like
We-
email address?
We are we're having some snafus and some technical difficulties with the email stuff, but we're hoping to get that resolved real soon so we can get folks emails and start talking about them on show and all that kind of good stuff.
Good idea.
So please keep sending emails. We will get to them.
What's
and
the email address? That's what I'm asking. Do we have an email address?
We kind of don't, because the way the email is set up right now is it's weird. It's very
convoluted. Because you're telling people to send in emails. Where?
I think it's on the website. I think the email on the website, we're trying to get the stuff forwarded from it, but there's been some technical difficulties.
Yeah,
I believe it's saverdinfo@gmail.com, I think, is the email address we're still able to use. I don't know for sure.
Take a look at saverdie.info.
Vince is going to edit the heck out of this.
Oh, heck yeah. Or he may not and just let us stew in our own juices.
Let us stew in our own messes.
Yeah.
That's what happens when you let the inmates run the asylum.
Pretty much. So next time we're coming back. We hope to have a few other people, maybe Vince, maybe, I don't know, Eric or Crispy.
We're going to get somebody else on here to add to the chaos, because this is what happens when you leave the two of us alone.
Now Julie will be available. We can get her back too.
Oh, that would be great.
Julie's good for the history stuff.
Yes. The episodes with Julie were always very good and very entertaining, and she's passionate and an awesome gamer, so I would welcome her presence. She doesn't play anymore?
Oh, she hasn't played for decades.
Oh, we need to fix that.
She's gone on to bigger and better things.
Oh, no. There is nothing better or bigger or better than your high-level thief.
Yay.
At least in their own mind.
Yay. But yeah, okay. Well, until next time.
Until next time, folks, this has been DM James.
DM Glen.
Have a good evening.
Good night, everybody.